68 degrees down in Key West, and it's a chilly night. Chilly, chilly night. Hey, listen, I don't know how much time I have on this or space. It seems like my little computer just doesn't have enough room to keep all the shit into it. But anyways, man, it may get down to like 66. I know that may not be cold to some of you peoples out there. Wherever you are, it's cold here. It's cold. So I happened to found the true text to the Judas book, all right? The Gospel of Judas, all right? It's really cool because, you know, what they say, there's like some kind of, so someone found this in the 70s or something like that. You know, it could be a forgery, you know, it's a Gnostic text, they say, because, you know, it just goes against what there's in the New Testament already. And really all it is it's like it helps to help you to understand it a little better. Because in that part of the Bible that we know, Jesus is told, he's asked during the Last Supper, who's going to betray you? That's what they've asked him, his brethren, his buddies helping him. And he says, it's the guy I dipped the sop to. And then he takes a little bread and he dips it into this thing and hands it over to Judas and then tells him to go and do what you got to do. And he takes off. And the rest of the guys are saying, hey, what's he doing? You know, he must be going to do this. Or else. They don't, you know, Jesus just told them it's the guy that's going to do this job for me. And if you were to look up what that means to dip the sop to someone, that's actually a procedure. And that means that, you know, you're asking for a favor. This guy's got to do something for you. And it's a type of a bribe, perhaps. But it's really someone that you trust to do this job for you. And that's what's really important about it. You have someone in the group there that's worthy of it. And this is where you get the Gospel of Judas from. So you'll see that they make him out to be some kind of bad guy, and he's the treasurer, but, you know, he's the only one that's trustworthy in the bunch. And in the long run, he's the one that gives up Jesus. He's the one who gives up. And in the story later on, I'm just going to kill it for you just a little bit, but it says, you're the one that gives up the person in my name. So it really doesn't show him, it's just, the way it winds up is he comes out of the upstairs room. You know, he wakes up from this visit with Jesus, right? And he wakes up on just the other side of the upstairs room where they had this, you know, all this was happening, all of the Last Supper, where Judas and them were just having supper. So it was a dream sequence. It really was him doing his meditation. It's just the coolest shit on earth, you guys. But anyways, let's not waste any time because it's going to take forever. It may. But anyways, the Gospel of Judas. Might have to do 2 of these things. I'm not sure. All right. This was translated by a guy named David Breck, Brakke. And it was something that this guy did with his students, and it was just to uncover what they were saying. There is numbers involved here, too. It says under contents, this is number 33, which would be a 6. The hidden discourse of the pronouncement in which Jesus spoke with Judas Iscariot for 8 days. That's 3 days before the celebrated Passover. Of course, that's whenever he is given up. So that's the 66. All right. That's the, you know, but he's going back in time. This is before all that happens. And it says Jesus dialogues with disciples and Judas. Jesus' appearance on earth. When he appeared on earth, he performed signs and great wonders for the salvation of humanity. And as some people were walking in the way of righteousness and others were walking in their transgressions, 12 disciples were called. He began to speak with them about the mysteries that are above the universe and the things that will happen at the end. Frequently, frequently he does not appear to his disciples, but you find him as a child among them, knowing Jesus. He came to his disciples in Judea one day and found them seated, gathered, and training for piety. When he came upon him, his disciples, gathered, seated, and offering thanksgiving over bread, and he laughed. The disciples said to him, "Teacher, why are you laughing at our prayer of thanksgiving? What did we do? This is what's right." And he answered and said to them, "I'm not laughing at you. You don't do this by your own will. Rather, by your God's receive praise." This is this idea of your God, And they said, "Teacher, it is you, the Son of our God." So it's funny because Jesus laughs a lot on these Gnostic tales, they say. But so it has the code that runs right through it, even though they're kind of numbered and kind of not numbered. I'll let you know as I find them. And Jesus said unto them, "How do you know me? Truly I say to you, no race from among you will know me." And he's talking to him in the flesh. And his disciples heard this, and they began, they could be in spirit too, because no one sees them of their race, and he began to get irritated and angry and blasphemous against them in his heart. When Jesus saw their foolishness, he said to them, "Why has agitation brought anger to you? Your God, who is within you, and his blank," there's a missing piece of this. There's a hole in the picture, or a hole in the papyrus. They have all become irritated, along with your souls. Let whoever is strong among you people represent the perfect human being and stand before my face. Now, we've heard this before. It's always this idea, there'll be one among you that is going to stand and do this. And this is that idea that, well, what do we get? And all were said strong, and by their spirit, but their spirits did not dare to stand before him, except for Judas Iscariot. He was able to stand before him, but he could not look him in the eyes. Instead, he turned his face away. That actually means that it's a meditation term when you turn your face away. Judas said to him, "I know who you are and where you have come from. You have come from the immortal aeon of this Barbello." All right. "But as for the one who sent you, I'm not worthy to say his name." All right. So Barbello is let me see, what did I say what Barbello was? It said here that the Barbello, it's a supreme one. It's this idea of the mother father. This is where she came from. This is the idea of the mother father coming together, and this is this messenger is what you would say. Now, where are we at on the side? So, and Jesus is this messenger from this mother father thing. That's what Barbello means. All right, and all of this is underneath the number 35. So it'd be 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. All right, so Jesus, knowing that he was thinking about the rest of the exalted matters as well, said to him, "Separate from them, and I will tell you of the mysteries of the kingdoms. Not that you will go there, but so that you will be as much grieved," right? Excuse me. So you can be as much grieved. Now this is number 36, which is 6, 7, 8, 9. "For someone else will take your place, so that the 12 elements might be complete in their God." And Judas says to him, "When will you tell me of these things? And when will that great day of light dawn for the race, for probably human race," right? When I go, there's a hole because there's missing parts of the script. But when he had said this, Jesus left him. All right. So that was in a dream. It was in a dream sequence. When he turned his face from him, all this was a conversation with our man Judas, Jesus's right hand man. He's also looking at this as being his. What were we saying in the last one? It's like Titus. It's just the idea that you're going to be the guy that's giving me up. When morning came, he appeared with his disciples and said to them, "Teacher, where did you go? Where do you go after you leave us?" And Jesus said to them, "I went to another great and holy place." And his disciples said to him, "Lord, what is this great race that's more exalted and holier than we? But now is this aeons. Now aeons is this mother father thing too. It's more like it's this entity, this energy. It's going to be representing later on the 12 different constellations, and each one of those are two. You know that they're part animal, part human, which is, the way all of us are working out in these stories. So that's why they are, and these are, this is just part of the story, and these are part of the stars in the sky that have direct influence on top of us, and they're considered our brethren. 5 of those are rebellious, and then there's like 6, and then you don't count the 7th one, but he's going to wind up being the 13th, and 13th means perfect, and so Judas winds up being like the best of everything, of all of it. So it's just the idea that he becomes the perfect human being, but he's representing you. All of these stories are representing you. Even at this time of night, I can't get away from airplanes, and it's about 8 o'clock. So Jesus, when he heard these things, he laughed and he said to them, "Why are you thinking in your heart about the strong and the holy race? Truly, I say to you, no offspring of this aeon or whatever, this world, whatever, will see that race, nor will any angelic army of stars rule over that race, nor will any mortal human offspring be able to go with it. For that race does not come from this aeon, from this time. For time, another part of it just means a long time that came into being. And then there's this big hole, the race of the human beings that are among them. But in this race of the great people, then a big hole, the powerful authorities, that a big hole, nor any power, a big hole, those by which you rule." When his disciples heard these things, they were disturbed in the spirit, each one, and they were at a loss for words. Some kind of a spiritual beating about how they give up their rights over to this outside world. The disciples' vision. On another day, Jesus came to them and said to them, "Teacher," they said to him, "Teacher, we saw you in a vision, for we saw great dreams in the night that passed." And he said, "Why have you hid yourself?" And so for their part, they said, "We have a great house in which there was a great altar. 12 men that we say are priests and had a name, a priest and a name. A multitude was devoting themselves to that altar until the priest finished presenting the offerings. We too were devoted ourselves." And Jesus said, "What kind of," there's a hole, but I know it says offerings. "What kind of offerings?" And they said, "Some fast for 2 weeks, others sacrifice their own children, and others their wives, as they bless and are humbled one another. Others sleep with males, others work with slaughtering, others perform a multitude of sins and lawless deeds. And the men who stand beside the altar invoke your name." Number 39. "And because they are engaged in all the labors of their sacrifice, the altar is full. After they had said these things, they fell silent because they were disturbed. And Jesus said to them, "Why have you become disturbed? Truly I say to you, and all these priests that stand beside the altar evoke my name. And even more I say to you, that they have written my name upon the altar of the races in the stars, that the races of human beings, and in my name they shamefully have planted fruitless trees." What they mean is they've taken that stick out of you. They've taken that thing. You're the tree, but you're fruitless. This is what has happened to us. Jesus said to them, "It is you who present the sacrifices at the altar that you saw, that the God you serve, and that you are the 12 men from you saw, the cattle that are brought in the sacrifices that you saw. That is the multitude that you lead astray upon the altar, and there's a big hole, will stand, and in this way he will use my name, and the races of the pious will devote themselves to him. Next to another man will stand in an attendance upon the fornicators," which is what they're calling these people, "and another will stand in attendance upon the killers of children, and upon those who sleep with men, those who fast, and the rest of impurities, lawlessness, and error, and those who say that we are equal to angels, because they are the stars that bring everything to completion. For it has been said to the races of the human beings, look, God has received your sacrifice from the hands of a priest. That is the deacon of error. And it is the Lord who commandeth, who is the Lord over all things. On the last day, they will be put to shame." Just before we go any further, the next one is 41, which is a 5. I think that was a wonderful bit of storytelling right there. This idea that this is this religion, they think they're equal to angels, and that this is all in error. This is lawlessness. This is the folly that they talk about. It's a shame. And that you get no help out of that. You'll get nothing. All right. Number 41, Jesus said to them, "Stop sacrificing animals, which you have lifted up on the altar, because they are over your stars and over your angels." This has to do with, the animal side of us. They don't realize that they're trying to give up the animal side of us, not a real live animal. That's what they're saying. Because they are all over in your stars. Completion. There's a big hole to be manifested. This messes up everything. His disciples said, "Master, purify us of the that we have done by the deceit of the angels." So I think they're purifying us of the sins that we have done by the deceit of the angels, because, they didn't know that they were not supposed to do this. And Islam's doing it. Islam's one of the only ones active to kill these animals that I know of. Jesus says it's impossible. Big hole. Something to them, the big hole. Nor can a fountain extinguish the of the entire inhabited world. Nor can a spring in a city satisfy the races, except the great one that is destined. And the single lamp will not illuminate all the aeons, except that the second generation nor baker feed the entire creation. This is under heaven, that is. All right. And so what they're saying is that the baker can't feed you. You're not going to be able to. You're not going to be able to connect with this beautiful place, this thing, with one single lamp and all this business. It's just showing you that this outside place, this outside thing is taking over. And when the disciples heard these things, they said to him, "Master, help us and save us." What is 4? This is where you ask for help on the 6th. This is number 42 in here. It's as if the story started in the middle of something, a much bigger, longer story. By the way, the number system works. And Jesus said unto them, stop contending with me. All right. Each of you has his own star, and stars will and in his. It is not of the corruptible race that I was sent, but to the strong and incorruptible race. For no enemy has ruled over that race, nor any of the stars. Truly I say unto you people, the fiery pillar will fall suddenly, and that generation will not move. And then there's all these holes. This race that will endure, and when you make it all the way to the end, which is about works 4, 5, 6, 7. We're on number 7 here, number 6. When Jesus said these things, he left and took Judas Iscariot with him, and said to him, the water something of the high mountains that form something, number 43, this is number 7, that hath not come, the spring of the tree of probably life, something time of this time, after a time. There's all these holes. Judas said to him, Rabbi, what fruit does this race possess? All right, so they're not really saying that, because this race that they're making out to be is like the chosen ones, the ones that they're Jews. That's where we get this word Jew from. Judah is a part of it. Jonah, the Jews. It's just this idea that, who is this race? Well, it's not a race. It's just whoever it is that is a Jew is someone who is inwardly. All right. So Jesus said, as for every human race, their souls will die. But as for them, when the time of the kingdom has been completed and the spirit separates from them, their bodies will die and their souls will live and be taken up. This is without any salvation. Judas said, and so what will remain of the race of human beings do? And Jesus said, it's impossible. It's number 44, it's 8. It's impossible to sow seed on rock and get their fruit. So too, a whole is defiled race is corrupted and corruptible wisdom. The hand that created mortal human beings and their soul go up in something's on high. Truly I say to you, people, no ruler or angel or power be able to see those places. And this great holy race will see. After Jesus said these things, he departed. It just goes to show you that there's no human, no real eye can see all these things because it's invisible. All this stuff is invisible. And Judas' vision, Judas, the teacher, just as you have listened to them, please listen to me. For I have seen a great vision. But when Jesus heard, he laughed and he said to them, why are you training yourself, you 13th demon? Are you the 13th demon? But speak and I will put you up and I'll put up with you. This is what he says. Judas says to him, I saw myself in the vision with the 12 disciples stoning me, and 45, persecuting me severely. And I came also to a place where a big hole. After you, I saw a house, big hole, and my eyes could not comprehend its size. Great people surrounded it, and the house had a roof of greenery. And in the house was a multitude. Teacher, take me along with these people. Jesus answered and said to him, your star has led you astray, Judas, because no mortal human offspring is worthy to enter the house that you saw. For in that place that is kept only for the holy ones, in the place where neither the sun nor the moon will rule, nor the day, nor they will stand at rest, always in that times of the holy angels. That aeon, I just don't know, just like, because of that mother-father thing. Look, I have told you the mysteries of the kingdom. That's what he took him for. All right. 46, I have taught you about the error of stars and holes and upon the 12. All right. Judas says, Teacher, could it be that my seed is subject to the rulers? And Jesus answered them, Come and I will you. But you will grieve much when you see the kingdom in its entire race. Then Judas heard these things. He said, What advantage have I received because you have separated me from this race? Remember, Judas right now, Judas is in meditation, and he's been separated from the human race, all right? That's really how this is going on. Jesus answered and said, You'll become the 13th, and you'll be cursed by the rest of the races, and you will be ruling over them. And in the last days, you might not go on high. This is number 47, to the holy race. Well, they're just making him out to be bad, but Judas is the one that's going to be ruler over all of this. He is the main guy. He's given up Jesus. It's very important that you recognize this. Jesus' revelation to Judas, the great and infinite aeon, the great invisible spirit. Jesus says, Come, I will teach you about the great and infinite aeon that no human being will see, the great invisible spirit. For there exists a great and infinite aeon. This is the mother father, right? The existent, and it's like a mystical thing, the existent of which no angelic race has seen, all right? And in it is a great invisible spirit which no angelic eye has seen, nor inner thought comprehend, and which has not been called by name. A luminous cloud appeared then, and a luminous cloud appeared there. All right, summoned. This is a self-originated and has 4 attendants, and he, the invisible spirit, said, Let an angel come into being as my attendant. And a great angel of self-originating, the God of light, came forth and from this cloud. And for his sake, 4 angels came into being from another cloud. And they came into being for the attendance of the angelic self-originated. Because this is your change in the 4. You represent the 4 changes because that's what you're looking for. It's a big change here. In the 48, the self-originate said, these are the 48. All right, you know that number. And the 48 of the self-originate said, Let atoms come into being. Yes, ADAMAS. In the emanation, come into being. And he created the first luminary to rule over it. And he said, Let angels come into being to serve it. And this myriad came into being. It doesn't sound like a good thing. And let it said that the luminous aeon came into being, and it came into being in that he created the second luminary to rule over it. Along with this luminary, this is like a bigger sun and lesser light, bigger light and lesser light. And this is how he created the rest of the aeons of light. Very interesting. And he established luminaries to rule over them. And he created innumerable angelic myriads for the service. Very interesting. Remember, all of those signs are representing 2 people, 2 things in one, the animal side and the spiritual side. And the incorruptible race of Seth and his luminaries, the heaven and the firmament, they're talking about these guys up north, these guys in the sky. They're saying that they were incorruptible, where they were. And Adams was dwelling in the first cloud of light, which no angel among those called the divine was seen. And he, number 49, and a hole, and a hole, and a hole. Listen, by the will of the Spirit, he caused 72 luminaries to appear. So that's 7, 8, 9. And by this luminaries, for their part, 360 luminaries to appear. There's another 9. All right. Their parent is the 12 somethings of the 12 luminaries. And this is talking about, and of those, there are 6 eons. All right. Now they're talking about when they split these 12 up, they really got 5 here and they've really got 7 on the other side. But the way it works out is he says that he's supposed to be number 13. All right. He's the corruptible universe. So what happens is this corruptible universe gets this thing called Nebro, Nebro, and the rulers. All right. So what you have is you have the multitude of immortals called universe. All right. That is ruined by the parent and the 72 luminaries that are with self-originating, and they, in his 72 aeons, the place where the first human beings appeared with the incorruptible powers, and the aeon that appeared with this race, one of the cloud acquainted with an angel called, I couldn't tell you. Afterwards, said the 12 angels came into being to rule over the chaos and Hades. So this is to come over the lower mind. This can't be good. But anyways, this guy winds up being the bad guy. And so he gets to rule over things, and there's this guy named Seklas. So anyways, you can see, and he took the cloud, and he poured fire for those likeness who defiled with blood. This is what he looked like. And look, from a cloud there appeared an angels whose face poured forth fire, and whose likeness was defiled with blood, and his name Nebo, which is interpreted as apostate. That means, he doesn't believe in any of this shit, all right? And others say his name is Alabos. I don't know. And another angel came from the fourth of the cloud and says, well, called this name something or another. Nebo created 6 angels for the attendants, all right? So he has his own side. Remember, there's always the other side of things, all right? Along with that, he had the 12 rulers, along with 12 angels, right? That's the good and the bad. Let each one of you, and there's this big hole, and there's another one, this big hole about angels, and it's on number 52. And so what it says, the first is Seth, there's going to be 5, which is the head. The second is this Hemeroth, which is the chest. The third is Gala, which is the third part of us, the hips. The fourth is Liabol, this is the legs. And then the fifth is Abanois, or whatever. That's our feet. All right, those are our 5 brethren. These are the 5 that ruled over Hades and stuff like that. All right. The origin of the human beings, is create human beings according to the likeness and according of the image. This is in Genesis 1:26. And they formed Adam and his wife Eve, and they called in the cloud such and such, to seek him, Your life will be for a finite time along with your children. And Judas said unto them, what is the longest that the human being might live? And he says, well, are you amazed that Adam and his race received a limited time? And that his place where he receiveth the kingdom for a limited time with this ruler? Judas said unto them, does the human spirit die? And Jesus said, thus God ordered Michael to lend the spirits of the human beings to them that might serve. So it's but the great one commanded Gabriel to give the spirits to great abomination, to the great abominated race, the spirit along with the soul. Therefore, the rest of the souls, this is number 54, something of the mountain, probably are, missing the mountain. They miss the light, and they seek the spirit within you, which have caused to dwell in the flesh among the races of angels. But God caused acquaintance to be given to Adam and those within him, in order that the kings of chaos and Hades might not rule over them. So they left them some little good thing in there for us to be able to find, so that this king of Hades doesn't have to rule over us. Human beings and their stars. And Judas said to them, what then of those of the races do? And he said unto you, truly the stars that bring completion upon all things. When something completes this time, when the shakla completes the time that has been assigned to him, the star will come with the races. And he has been said, and what has been said will be brought to completion. Next, they will fornicate in my name and kill their children. It's number 55. And there's a hole, and the aeons will bring the races that attend them to something or another. And next, Israel will come, bringing the 12 tribes of Israel from whatever, and all the races will serve this devil. Also, sinning in my name and your, in your God's names, this will rule over the 13th aeon. This is to rule over you. It makes you evil. But next, Jesus laughed. Judas said, Teacher, why are you laughing at us? And Jesus answered and said, I'm laughing not at you, but at the error of the stars, because these 6 stars go astray, and these 5 combatants, and they'll all be destroyed by their own creations. So it's very interesting. Remember, we destroyed all these people are characters in the Bible. We've turned them into something bigger than us, and they destroy us. They eat us up. And then we turn around and find out that, oh, damn, never was there in the first place. And Jesus says to Jesus, what will those who have been baptized in your name do? And he says, truly, I say to you, it's baptism. That's number 56. And my name will destroy the entire race of Adam, the earthly man. Tomorrow, the one who bears me will be tortured. Truly, I say to you, no hand of a mortal being will sin against me. Truly say to you, Judas, those who offer sacrifice to this something another God. All right. So he's missing a bunch of lines after here's a big hole and everything that is evil, but you exceed them all. And for you will sacrifice the human being who bears me. So it sounds to me like, I heard these stories before where Jesus didn't really do it. If you listen to what's going on in Islam, that there was someone that was put in his place, to go through this. But still, my idea is I'm not compromising that thought that it doesn't take someone to die to know what this way is. These people are so barbaric. How is that how you would do it? And then they all are still being led down the wrong path by seeing such barbaric things and saying that this is what they have to do. We had to kill this guy. It says, already your horn has been raised. This is your 4. There's a 4 coming in. And your anger has been filled. That's the second phase. See, already your horn has been raised. This is this idea of the West, all right, our intellect. Our anger has been filled. This is our South, the North. This is our emotions. Your stars pass by, which is going to be the solid part, because, he's going under, all right? And your heart has prevailed, because it was in his heart. All this is what you're talking about. It's written in his heart. 7, this is 10, 11, 12. Here's 12, which is 3. Truly, I say to you, you're something, the thrones And the aeons have been defeated. The kings have become weak. The races of angels have grieved. And the evil ones, the ruler is destroyed. So all these bad guys that we were just talking about that I couldn't pronounce all their names are gone now. This is number 3 because they've joined up. He's joined up with the Lord. He has joined up. All 3 are together. Conclusion of the revelation. Look, you have been told everything. Look up and see the cloud, the light within the stars surrounding it, and the stars that lead their way from the star. And Judas looked up and he saw the luminous cloud. And he, Jesus, entered it. Those standing on the ground heard a voice coming from the cloud saying, and there's a big hole, it's number 58, the great race something, an image something, and Judas no longer saw Jesus. Then we come to the third part of this, and it's just about over. Judas hands Jesus over. This is the part that I want you to listen to, especially because a lot of these stories, and even when Abraham, he wakes from a dream and his wife is getting a drink of water and his son is walking off into the distance with somebody. He's come out of a meditation where, they were taking away his son. Same thing happens here where it says, and at once there was a disturbance among the Jews, more than something, and the high priest grumbled because there was another hole, had gone into the guest room for his prayer. I'm going to tell you right here, it says, the high priest grumbled because Judas Iscariot had gone into the guest room for his prayer. But some of the scribes were there watching closely so that they might seize him during the prayer. For they were afraid of the people because they held him as a prophet. And they approached Judas and said to him, what are you doing here? You are Jesus' disciple? For his part, he answered them as they wished. And Judas took money and handed him over to them. The Gospel of Judas. It's just a very wonderful little telling story that, it just shows that he is the one, and it shows that, he was working for Jesus all along. All right? Jesus, it's not really going to be Jesus's right-hand man because he says, you are going to be delivering. But, he wound up delivering Jesus, but it's the guy that delivers Jesus is what they were talking about. You're going to be that. So he's in all of us. This Judas guy is in all of us. And so it's just an interesting thing, this wonderful little story about Judas. And you'll find that whenever he is hung in the long run, this idea of hanging himself, it is again tossing his money, tossing his, he was paid this silver, that's a reward of, giving up your side of you, because that's what they're talking about. And 30 is that 30 degrees, the 3, 1, 2, and 3 that you have to go through during that month that you're going through Scorpio. And that's really all that is mean. That's all it's talking about. That 30 is the 30 degrees. And of course, 3 is this intervention. All these things are coming into being, a divine intervention. All right, so this is long enough. And what a wonderful little story. And, with those with the ears to hear, I hope you heard some of those things, and even the number system worked out. It really did, So no matter when they found it, where they found it, and how they found it, whatever, it matches the code very well. So it could very well be just as old as all these. And it's actually, in real life, when they talk about real life, it has it's a lot older than all the rest of the stories that we have in our Bible. All right, you guys. Happy days. Is this working? Yeah, huh? Love y'all.